Hey everybody, welcome to our free webinar this evening. I don't know where you guys are. This is a very hot July day where I am in the Northern California, Sierra Nevada mountains. And up in the mountains, we don't have air conditioning. So got a lot of fans going. But we're going to talk today about, do you really need an attorney, and when and under what sort of circumstances? But a lot of you who know me know that I love to get started with how we feel about it, right? Because as much as we like to think of ourselves as rational, logical people, and while we can learn to be more rational and more logical, we are all emotional decision makers, period. We make decisions based on emotions, right? So if we don't get in touch to how we're feeling, we're not going to make great decisions. So if you guys want to drop it in the chat, I would love to hear. When you think about dealing with the legal issues in your business, how does it make you feel? What sort of words or phrases comes to mind? Don't think about it too hard, just drop it in the chat. How do you feel dealing with legal stuff? Maybe you feel confident, great, right? Maybe you feel overwhelmed, anxious, confused, like you don't want to deal with it, procrastinating, all that sort of good stuff, right?
Suppose you haven't had any come up.
Well, you always have some come up, even if you're doing it proactively, right? Like putting together your consent forms and contracts and setting up your business and taxes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it is, yeah, Tanya, it's comforting to get it done, right? Overwhelmed, not in the stomach. Oh, I get that. Sure, nervous, confused, eager to learn, love it, and go ahead and quick mute there. You guys can unmute yourselves too when you need to. But those are a lot of the common things I hear, and that's good. And I'm glad to hear that we're getting in touch and with how we feel about these issues. And the problems we tend to have is when we don't know a lot about the law, when we're not feeling powerful in it, then we get problems that we don't even know exist. And they tend to fester, especially when we're not being proactive, right? And then sometimes when we realize what's wrong, it's too late or it becomes too expensive. Often it's something totally avoidable. We get anxiety about getting in trouble, and that anxiety sabotages us, right? We play small, we stay quiet, we stay invisible because we think, well, if I'm visible, well, geez, then I'm going to attract attention. Then people will want to sue me. The government will want to investigate me. I'll have to pay more in tax, all this stuff. And then we end up sabotaging ourselves, our ability to earn our business, to help more people and to earn income. We get susceptible to getting fooled. You guys have seen some of my emails over the last 6 months. I've been on a bit of a tear about legal scams and tax scams that kind of piss me off. And it's easy to get taken in by that because these people know how to play on our lack of knowledge and our emotional feelings, right? Not taking advantage of the benefits. The law has plenty of benefits and ways to protect you, protect your clients, help you out if we know what they are. And then not knowing if or when to get legal help. On the other hand, if we learn some things about the law, if we start to feel a little bit more powerful and confident in it, and you don't have to know everything, but you just, step by step, we can eliminate these problems before they get out of control. We gain more confidence, and that way we're not so anxious, we're not sabotaging, we're building our businesses, we're helping our clients, we're building wealth safely, avoiding the hucksters who want to sell us the magic legal beans, and knowing when we need help and when we don't. What are the things we can do and what are the things we need some extra help with, right? And that is what we're going to talk about today. Learning a little bit more about when to get help and when you can do stuff on your own and what sort of level of help might you need. And first, the spoiler, you should always get some form of legal help or guidance, right? Don't try to do it completely in the dark or completely on your own. Even if you're just asking someone a few questions or doing a little bit of research, always try to learn something when it comes to legal issues. It's a highly specialized, complicated field, and it is that way for a reason. There's a reason that people go to law school and spend decades practicing to learn this stuff. And so today we're going to look at kind of 3 categories of those levels of help, like what you can do on your own versus hiring an attorney. So we're going to start with things you can do on your own, or at least with minimal legal guidance of some sort. We'll look at some examples of that. Then we're going to look at legal tasks that you can accomplish with an attorney coaching you to save money. So instead of hiring an attorney full bore, paying their hourly rate for them to do everything, there's stuff you can do if you're getting some instruction, some guidance, some coaching. You're willing to do the legwork yourself and kind of have the attorney looking over your shoulder. It's a great way to get some good legal stuff done while saving a lot of money and learning a lot on your own. And then we're going to look at those categories where you need to just bite the bullet and hire an attorney. The category of things where The specific legal task is too complicated, it's too specialized. The consequences for getting it wrong are too big, where you just need to bite that bullet and have an attorney do it for you. And then for those who are able to stay, we'll talk about that opportunity to get some of that coaching for those who are ready to do the legwork and take some action themselves. And we'll have some Q&A time, hopefully, too. So for those of you who are new, I see a number of you who I've met before, and it's great to see you guys. For the new folks, I'm Ian Foster. I got my law degree from UC Davis. I'm a licensed attorney in the state of California. I do have an active legal practice. I've been practicing for well over 20 years now, and I had nearly 2 decades of government service in multiple government departments. So I have audited, investigated, and prosecuted businesses that broke the law. So I've seen it from that side. And now I help the business owner from this side. And so I'm trying to help you guys make a difference and do that ripple effect of good. And because I'm an attorney, we're going to do our quick legal disclaimer. This is always a good thing to have in your webinars, something like this. So our discussion this evening is not legal services or advice. I'm just trying to do a little bit of education. This is educational in nature only. This is only my opinion. Does not necessarily represent anyone else's opinions. I cannot guarantee any specific outcome or results, right? Because that's not the way the law works. In fact, always watch out for attorneys who make 100% promises, or anybody in the legal realm who makes absolute promises, because the law doesn't work that way. The law is a series of probabilities. You have high risk and low risk and everything in between, but there's never 100% risk and there's never 0% risk, right? Let's all be respectful of one another. And let's try to protect one another's privacy, but I can't make absolute promises. And of course, this is being recorded, but let's try to make this a safe space together. So getting into that kind of first category I want to talk about, this is the DIY, the do-it-yourself stuff, or at least getting a little bit of guidance, right? Don't do it completely in the dark. At least try to look into it somewhat, get a little bit of guidance, ask some questions of someone who knows what they're doing. So the DIY stuff, let's start with some basic online business filings. This is stuff that everyday business owners do on their own every day with minimal instruction and help, right? So if you're going to go online and create your limited liability company or your corporation, that's an online thing with your state or provincial government. They have online forms, you pay your fees, it asks a few questions, you fill it out, you get it done, right? And then similarly, once you create it, you're going to file some kind of annual report or statement of information. Those are the 2 most common terms, but there are different terms in different jurisdictions, right? But every year or sometimes every 2 years, you're going to have to file something to kind of keep the government up to date on what you're doing. That's usually pretty easy filing, no problem. Getting your employer ID number, right? Again, easy online thing to do. You fill out forms online, you put in the information they ask for, they give you your employer ID number. So there's always stuff you can do like that. Getting your local business license from your local government. If your city or county where you are living or working requires a local business license, again, typically that is a quick online filing. You go on, you answer a few questions, you pay your fee and you're good, right? So these are legal issues for sure. But they are basic online things, usually pretty self-explanatory, usually pretty simple, that you guys can do for yourself. Now, I do have plenty of clients who pay me to do these things for them, right? For a couple of reasons. One, it's often part of a larger package of service that I'm doing, right? So I do like a whole business setup service that's sort of all-inclusive, that I will do all this for you because I'm doing other stuff anyway. And I can do this super fast. I've done this stuff hundreds of times. It takes me no time at all. Or even if it's not part of the larger package, like they've already engaged me as their attorney, they just want me to go take care of it. They know it's going to take me 5 minutes and not going to cost them much, right? So people do pay me to do this. But if you're not getting the larger package, if you don't have me on retainer or anything, stuff you can totally do on your own. You go online, follow the instructions. So sometimes you can also do simple one-off, what I call quote unquote handshake agreements on your own, right? It's just a basic, I'm doing X for you and you're doing Y for me. We're exchanging something of value for each other, right? Now, I don't mean literally do it by a handshake. That's why I put that in quotes. We kind of call it in a colloquial term, handshake agreements, right? Still write it down, but you don't necessarily, if this is a one-off simple exchange of some sort, you may not have to write up a whole agreement. You know, you may not have to go through the whole rigmarole. You just write it down and make sure you're both okay with it. It could even be done in an email exchange, just making sure it's always clear. You know, don't rely on verbal because We're all different people. We all experience life and listen to each other through our own traumas and lenses and the whole thing, right? So don't rely on verbal and all the misunderstandings. Write it down, but you can do something really simple. Simple copyright filings, right? So let's say you have some content, something you wrote that you want to attach a copyright to. Now you do have what we call kind of common law copyright things. Things you create are yours, but often you want to go on and you want to protect your claim to this material, or sometimes they call it perfecting your claim. You want to make sure that this is definitely yours, that you registered it, that nobody can steal it. Some of that stuff can be done on your own. It's like 80 bucks. Last time I checked, I'm not sure what the current filing things are, but it's usually a pretty simple online form. You pay a fee kind of thing, right? So that's kind of some of the stuff you can do on your own. Any questions about any of this so far?
On the copyright, I understood that if you just put a C and then put a circle around it, anybody looking at that, it sort of like protects you, right? Just by doing that. Is that true?
Yeah, so by, if you create something, you own it, right? Whether or not you register it. And so often we can put the little circle C and say copyright, your name, your business name, whatever. So like at the top of this webinar, it probably said copyright personal empowerment services, which is the name of the business that my wife and I run, right? Because I created the webinar, it's ours. And so, yes, that does put people on notice that you own it, and it helps. There are times when you really want to make sure you want to be able to enforce your claim, like especially if you're writing a book, right? So people who write books will go on and upload the manuscript of the book because you don't want anybody plagiarizing that book. You want to be able to prove that it was your idea, that you came up with it, that it was definitely original. So it can help you in the long run prove it, right? It's not always necessary.
Okay.
So, yeah, in fact, the August workshop, we're going to talk a whole lot more about this sort of thing, copyrights and trademarks and how to protect yourself. All right, so let's look at the second category. This is kind of the in-between. You're not going full bore and hiring an attorney and paying their hourly rate to do everything for you. You're getting what we call legal coaching, right? And this usually means you're going to do a lot of the legwork yourself. You have to be an action taker. You have to be willing to give it a shot and try and do some stuff yourself, but you're being coached and guided by an attorney as you do it, right? And this can help you save a lot of money. Having the attorney look over your shoulder and help you along the process rather than do everything for you, you're paying the attorney something for this, but you're not paying their full hourly rate for project after project. So it's a good way to get a lot of legal stuff done as long as you're willing to take some action. It can save you a lot of money. So here's the kind of stuff that you can do in this second category, this in-between category, where you're doing the work with the guidance of an attorney looking over your shoulder. There's a lot of simple business documents you can do like this. So when you're setting up your business, you need something called an operating agreement or a bylaws. This is basically the document that sets out how the business is going to be run and managed. You can do simple or temporary documents like this. And we'll talk in a bit how if they're going to get more complex, you should get an attorney. But you can get a simple one in place if you've got a little bit of legal coaching. You have to transfer assets into your business when you're creating a business, right? People forget this step. You're running a business, you're doing stuff, you're creating stuff, and then you decide to create a LLC or a corporation. All these things you created, you have to put into it, right? It's like getting a box. You have to put things into the box. Stuff doesn't fall into the box magically. Well, again, with a little coaching and help, you can draft the agreements that actually put your business into the business entity. Simple agreements with people who are helping you out. And usually this is going to be part-time folks, virtual assistants, graphic artists, people who help with your copywriting. Different sort of, instead of a copyright RI, copyright WR, right? Like when you write your marketing copy and social media copy and stuff like that. And with some coaching, you can do some basic small business tax returns, especially those of you who are sole proprietors or a disregarded entity or simple partnership. In fact, some of you have been to my tax filing workshop where we go through how you can do these returns yourself and gather the material and make sure it's all organized properly. So when you get some coaching from someone like me who's been through the tax system, I was a government tax attorney, you can do some basic tax return stuff yourself and save a lot of money that way. You can also, with some coaching and guidance, draft some basic contracts, right? And I have lots of stuff where I teach people how to do this. I have courses, I've had my 5-day challenges, I have workshops where we teach you how to write basic contract stuff so that you don't have to pay me my hourly rate to do the whole thing for you, where you're doing the legwork, you're drafting it, but you're learning what to put in, you're learning how to word it, you're giving a little coaching and oversight. So terms and conditions for your program, if you have an online program or a group program, you can usually put those together with a little help. One-on-one, basic one-on-one client contracts, client consent forms, that kind of stuff, right? You don't necessarily need to pay an attorney their hourly rate. Now, again, plenty of people do pay me my hourly rate. It's usually because they've gotten bigger and they have more money than time at this point, right? They're earning a good income, they have some money to spend, they don't have time to do this themselves, they'd rather just pay me to do it, and that's totally fine. I don't fault anyone for that. I make good money doing that, right? But I also provide opportunities for people to learn through workshops and programs and challenges how to do this stuff just with some guidance and save themselves a lot of money. Some sort of, some compliance documents you can do, again, in this in-between stage where you're getting some guidance and coaching, you're willing to do the legwork yourself. Writing up your guarantee and refund policies, making sure you're not having problems with false advertising or people making unfounded refund claims, right? The disclaimers you attach to your testimonials or descriptions of your services, right? Or what we call the no professional advice disclaimers, right? So I usually say at beginning of webinars like this is not legal advice. You might be saying, I'm not giving you medical advice, I'm not giving you therapeutic advice. Again, these are the sorts of things you can write up yourself with a little bit of guidance. Any questions on this stage of it?
Yeah, I have one, Ian.
Sure.
How do you approach an attorney to say you want to do something where you'll do the legwork if they do the guiding? Are they open for that?
Some are and some are not, right? You can always ask. Now I have my legal practice where it's all done for you, where I charge people an hourly rate and I do all the work, but I also have my coaching practice where I have different offers for people, whether it's my workshops, my programs, my laser legal coaching. So I do this sort of help for people because most regular business owners cannot afford my hourly rate. And I get that, and that's fine, but you still need help. So I try to find, ways to help you that are more effective in terms of time and money for you. So it depends on the lawyer. There are a handful of lawyers like me who are totally open to helping like this.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. You can always ask. Look, often when people are wondering, should I ask someone whatever it is, often my answer is, well, the worst they can say is no.
Well, let me ask you this real quick. How would you present that to a lawyer? Is there like a sentence you could say that tells all this?
I don't know, just be yourself and say, hey, I know I need to get these documents done. I don't know that I can afford your hourly rate. Would you be happy to just charge me to review them or edit them? Something like that. If they have programs the way I do, they'll be advertising their programs. They'll be doing webinars like me.
Yeah, okay, good.
Anyone else? All right, and then this kind of, I'm sorry, Charmaine, did you have something?
Thank you. Yeah, I had a question. How can we find out about your, I didn't understand what you said, boot camps or whatever you call it that you help people?
We'll talk about the workshops at the end.
Okay.
For me, so at the end of the webinars, I always tell people what I have going on right now.
Okay.
And you can always shoot me an email too if you want to know what the different options are, because I don't talk about all the options on the webinar because it's that old marketing thing. I think you give people 5 different services to choose from, they're not going to take any of them.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You bet. So this third category, this is when you need to just hire an attorney, right? And I'm going to give you some examples where I'm always just going to say, you got to bite the bullet and pay a qualified attorney to do it for you. So in these examples we're going to talk about, these are things where people have come to me and said, hey, can I do this on my own? Will you just look it over and edit it? And I'm like, no, because these are too important. They're too complicated. They have to be done a certain way, and the consequences for getting it wrong are too big. So some of these things you just have to bite the bullet. And these are, fortunately, these things where you need to just bite the bullet and pay someone like me to do it for you. Fortunately, these are things that come along a little bit later in your business. These are not first day business stuff. These are things that as you grow, you become more visible, you help more people. So hopefully you're having also more income to be able to afford the legal help to do this stuff. So when you don't want to take chances or mess around, there's going to be some more complex business documents that as your business grows and scales and you get more visible. So for the long run, you're going to need a solid operating agreement or corporate bylaw to help you grow and scale and put you in a good position. Don't try to draft that yourself. Have someone like me do it. People pay me to draft these things all the time, and I get back to you with a 30-page document full of complicated legalese that is all worded the way it is for specific reasons, because it has to be to make sure you're in good shape. If you're going to start forming multiple business entities, engaging in multiple lines of business, doing intercompany arrangements and transactions between your businesses, get help with this. I have plenty of clients who operate multiple business entities. They have a limited liability at the top that owns a couple of corporations underneath, and one of the corporations owns another LLC. Get an attorney to help you with that stuff, those intercompany arrangements, right? Because if you get it wrong, you get in big audit trouble, and it becomes a huge problem down the road. If you're going to have people heavily involved in your business, full-time employees, full-time contractors, people helping you teach your programs, coaching your clients, people working full-time on an employment basis, get some legal help with that, some serious legal help, because the agreements with those folks, again, have to be written a certain way to comply with employment and labor laws. You do not want to get in trouble violating labor laws. That's a huge, huge avoidable mistake. Taking on new owners or investors or partners, right? So I have clients come to me and say, oh, a friend of mine wants to invest. I'm going to sell him 10% of my business. Don't do that on the handshake. Don't try to draft that yourself. Get an attorney involved to make sure it's done right. People say, but what if I really trust this person, or that's my friend or my family? And I say, well, that's especially when you want an attorney to do it, to protect that relationship, right? The best way to ruin a friendship or ruin a family relationship is to get in a legal dispute with them. It'll ruin it forever, right? So get an attorney involved up front to make sure you are protecting the relationship with the person you care about. More complicated contracts, you're going to want an attorney to come in, right? So if you have high-end group programs, masterminds, VIP clients, you're charging people 15, 20, 25 grand and up. With that much money involved and the amount of services involved, you want to make sure the contract is done right. And the amount you're going to pay someone like me to draft that contract is a drop in the bucket compared to the money you're earning from the arrangement. So just bite the bullet and pay someone to do it. Business sale and purchase agreements. If you're buying a business or selling a business, have an attorney do it, always. And if the other side has an attorney, don't just trust their attorney to do it right, because they're representing the other side in their best interests. They are not there to help you. They're there to help the other party in the transaction. You need your own attorney on your side to represent your interests, to negotiate this properly and make sure that the document is drafted properly. Right? You're gonna avoid tons of problems by getting an attorney. And again, when you're talking about the kind of money that goes back and forth in business sale and purchase agreements, the amount you're paying the attorney is a drop in the bucket. I've had people pay me $10,000 to draft business purchase agreements, but look, they're spending $500,000 buying the business, right? So the 10 grand they're paying me is nothing compared to what's at stake in getting it right. If you're running a certification program, or if you're licensing out your content for people to teach or use on your behalf, get an attorney to draft that stuff, to draft the certification agreement, program agreement, the licensing agreement, all that good stuff. Again, because these have to be done a certain way. And if you do it wrong, you can lose control over your own material, right? And get yourself in all kinds of legal hot water or reputational hot water, even worse often than legal hot water. Is having someone use your material the wrong way and have it blow back on you in terms of hurting your reputation. That can be more costly than a strictly legal problem, right? So you want these things worded the right way from up front. Now, again, hopefully, if you're at the point where you're doing this stuff, you're charging people for high-end VIP service, you're buying a business, you're doing big licensing agreements. At that point, you should have the income coming in to help the legal cost with this stuff. This is not first day business stuff outlay, right? Certain government interactions. If you're going to get a trademark, so we talked about doing a copyright and how often you could do that yourself. right? If you're getting a trademark, get an attorney to do it. The trademark forms are not user-friendly, are not self-explanatory, and are not intuitive. And if you make, you technically can go on and do it yourself. You can go on, you can pay the $400, you can fill out the form. But if you make the tiniest mistake on this really complicated form that is full of disclaimers and footnotes and what ifs and what happens whens and exceptions, you make the tiniest mistake, your trademark is denied, and you start all over again. Just pay an attorney to do it for you. I don't even like doing this stuff. I don't even do trademarks anymore because it's not cost effective, because it's so time consuming for me. It's time consuming and tedious, right? So I don't do it. I send that out to other specialists to do it. If you're responding to government audit or investigations, right? If the government comes calling and wants to talk, now, first of all, remember, it doesn't necessarily mean you're in trouble. It just means they want to talk, right? Now, if you don't respond and you don't talk to them and you don't know how to talk to them, you might get in trouble. So that's why you want someone like me talking to the government for you. I was a government attorney. I used to do those investigations from their side. I know how to talk to these people. So you want someone like me, and there are a handful of folks like me who are former government attorneys. Anytime you're responding to government audit investigations, it's always best to get a former government attorney on your side, because they used to be on the other side. They know exactly how the process works. They know what language to use. They know these folks, right? So that's the sort of thing that you want to make sure you're doing with some help, because if you respond wrong, it can cause trouble when you otherwise may not have been in trouble. If you've getting a subpoena or summoned to court or anything like that, you want to get help with an attorney, right? Sorry, hang on, guys. I have a quick I apologize for that. Sort of an unexpected quick client emergency that I have to respond to. It'll just take me a second. Okay, taken care of. So again, if you've gotten a subpoena, you're getting summoned to court, anything like that, you want to make sure that you have an attorney on your side responding to that sort of thing properly. You don't want to mess it up. Actually, my September workshop, we're going to be talking about some general guidance, some things you need to know on that regard, and how to respond to those things and how not to mess it up so that your attorney can help. Any questions on any of this stuff?
Yeah, I have one question. Where are we going to find the recording?
For today's webinar,
Yeah,
I'll email a link out.
okay.
I have a question, Dan.
Yeah, Virginia.
In reference to contracts for high-end group programs, I understand what you're saying. If you're doing a group program that's 25,000 or more like that, but what about if you're working with speakers? You're the host for a summit, and you're hiring speakers, especially international speakers. Should you be putting contracts together with a lawyer for that?
That's a good question. That's something you might be able to do with some legal coaching and guidance, but it depends on how careful you want to be. How much money do you think you're going to make from the summit? It depends on. It's kind of an in-between things. If you think the summit is going to make you a lot of money in the long run, then then it might be worth it to pay an attorney to do it right, to avoid problems with speakers, right? But if it's really more of a list building exercise and you just want to make sure everybody's cool and signs off on some terms, you can probably do it with some coaching and guidance. So it's kind of a in between, it depends situation.
Okay.
I know that can be frustrating. A lot of people, my single most common answer to every question is it depends, followed by I don't know. Right? Often, people expect, you're the lawyer, you've been doing this forever. How come you don't know? Because I don't, I'll figure it out, but I don't know. Or the answer may be, it depends. So we need to figure it out some more, go through the details. So the things I want you to remember from this stuff today, it's better to have some legal guidance than none, right? Even if, even those very simple things, do a little bit of research, ask some questions first. And there's a lot you can do yourself, honestly. And this is, a big part of what I do is teaching people how to do a lot of this stuff for themselves, but you have to be willing to take action. You have to be willing to do the legwork if you want to get stuff done yourself and save some money while doing it, right? If you're going to have me do it all for you, I'm going to charge you my hourly rate. It's going to get expensive quick, which again, some people are fine with. They don't have the time, they don't want to deal with it, they'd rather I do it. That's, then that's great. But there is a lot of stuff you can do yourself. And the benefit to doing yourself with guidance and coaching is that you're learning a lot too. And some legal projects are just too important to do yourself. There are a lot of things that I will not coach you through, that I will just tell you, nope, that's too important. You need to just pay me to do it. Or somebody else. Doesn't have to be me, but somebody who's qualified who knows what they're doing, because the consequences for getting it wrong are too high. Does that all make sense? So how do you get that kind of legal guidance and coaching? And so this is where I come in to kind of help you guys in that second category, right? Where it's stuff that it's hard to completely do on your own, but it is stuff you can do yourself if you're willing to do the legwork. It doesn't have to go all the way towards hiring an attorney to do it. This is where my second Saturday workshop series comes into play. And it's about getting unstuck. Again, this is for those who want to take action and are willing to do the legwork themselves under my guidance, right? So we do very practical hands-on instruction on legal and tax issues in your business. We impart knowledge and action items, things you can actually use, right? It's not esoteric knowledge. It's not just knowledge for the sake. Now, I'm a big fan of learning for the sake of learning. Don't get me wrong. I love educating and learning. I imagine a lot of you guys too, right? But this is very action-oriented. These are action items you can actually use to move forward. We try to keep it very affordable in terms of time and money, right? So you're not spending thousands of dollars to learn one subject and then thousands more on the next one, next time you need to do something. You're not committing to 6 to 8 weeks of course time and calls, right? You're not doing daily homework, watching all the recorded modules. This is much more focused stuff. Instead, what we do are workshops on the second Saturday of each month. So it's just once a month we get together for a new workshop. You're only committing to a few hours at a time, up to half a day, right? So it's focused, it's specific, you get in and out, you get what you need. And it's very hands-on instruction, right? It's stuff you can immediately use. Often we break out in small groups. We have like sort of breakout workshopping time to give each other feedback. It depends on what we're talking about. You're going to get honest advice from me on how the law really works. I am not one of these attorneys or one of these coaches who is going to tell you what you want to hear. That doesn't help you in the legal realm. Me just telling you what you want to hear and sugarcoating it is not ultimately helping you. You're going to learn how things really work from someone who's been in the meat grinder of the legal practice and seen it from both sides, right? Action items that make sense. And some of the workshops, depending on what we're talking about or how in-depth, they may come with sample language, checklists, spreadsheets, that kind of stuff. Again, because it's hands-on, it's action-oriented, right? So upcoming workshops. And we do a lot of different subjects when we do this. I try to get highly focused on a new subject every month. So coming up in August, we're going to talk about protecting your content and your intellectual property. Copyrights, trademarks, should you license or not license something? Now, again, we're not going to write your licensing agreement. Like I said, if you are licensing, that's the sort of thing you hire an attorney to do because it's too critical on how it's worded, right? But the different ways you can make sure you're protecting your intellectual property and your content so that people are not stealing it, people know what their rights are, you know what your rights are. In September, we're talking about what to do when you get sued and subpoenaed. Now, again, when you're actually responding to a lawsuit or a subpoena, you need an attorney, but it turns out that the things you do in the first minutes when you get served can make or break your case. And nobody's teaching anybody what this stuff is. Right? I mean, when's the last time you saw something, a workshop on, oh my gosh, I got subpoenaed. What do I do in the first 60 seconds after I get subpoenaed? Those things can change how the whole thing comes out. There are actions you need to take. Now, then you call your lawyer, but you have to know what to do so that your lawyer can actually help you and protect you. I've had people call me up after they got sued or subpoenaed, and they had already made key mistakes. And there's only so much I can do after that. We can't go back in time and fix it. Yeah, it's never on Law and Order. You're right, Billy. Law and Order is They don't show you how it works in the real world, but it's entertaining, right? Then in October, we're going to do the Create Your Contract workshop. And so I run this one twice a year. This is when we get together. This is one of the longer, more in-depth ones, and where we actually really go through and write our contracts together. So you pick what sort of contract terms do you want to draft up. We do it with each other's help. Like we have breakout workshopping time, small group time, get each other's feedback. You actually get in and get something drafted you can use in your business. In November, we're talking about affiliates and JVs. Right? That's a big thing right now. Having affiliates, promoting each other, helping each other out, people you care about, you want to promote their products. They want to promote your products. It's a wonderful way to grow your list, to get your clients the help they need, to meet more people, right? It's an awesome community of people who do this. There are a number of legal issues that come up when we're doing it. So we're going to talk about what those legal issues are and how you can avoid trouble out of that. In December, we're going to do our business formation workshop. Right, so this is where you actually learn, what if I do want to file and form a business? How do I form it properly? What are the documents I need to put together, the steps I need to do that? Right, we go through that stuff in detail. How do you actually form a business entity and get it up and running? What if I do have a couple of business entities that I'm working through? In January, we're actually going to do a little bit of bonus in January. So we're going to get together at the new year and do our legal priorities, where we go through what are the things we each want to get done. You can get some help from me on how to prioritize your stuff for the new year. This one actually is going to be a free bonus for people who sign up for the 12-month subscription, which we'll talk about. And then the regular January one, we're going to do an events and retreats workshop. I've done this once before, and I've gotten a huge a lot of people who want me to run it again because they couldn't make it, right? If you plan to run live events, run retreats, anything like that, or virtual events and retreats, you need to understand all the legal issues associated with that. February, we're going to talk about the all-important issue of client confidentiality. What does it mean to protect our clients' privacy and confidentiality? What obligations do we have? What obligations do we not have? How do we make sure we're really protecting our clients and avoiding problems for ourselves? Then every March, I do a tax filing workshop just in time for tax filing season in April. This is where we talk about how do you actually fill out those basic business returns. We go through samples and spreadsheets. We actually show you line by line how these things work and how you can get these things filled out. And then we're going to talk about in April, how do you get paid legally? What are your payment policies? What are your refund policies? How do you make sure you can collect from your clients? When do you refund them money? When do you not? What sort of guarantees do you offer? Then in May, we're talking about the home-based business. Most of us here operate home-based businesses, right? This is what I'm doing at request. I had a number of people request that I do it. So it's still a little ways away, but when I get a lot of requests for a workshop, I start working on it, and then it kind of goes at the end of the line of the ones that are already scheduled, right? So how do you legally and safely operate a home-based business while getting the most benefits out of doing it? Then we're going to get into licensing laws, right? Professional licensing laws, safe harbor laws, especially if you are helping people with things that could be confused as psychological, therapeutic, medical, health related. How do you make sure you're safe and your client's safe while you're still helping people as much as possible? So if you want to check them out, it's at secondsaturdayworkshops.com, and I can drop that in the chat real quick. So at secondsaturdayworkshops.com, you have a couple of options. Some people enroll a la carte, so they only enroll in the individual workshops that they want. You go through, you see a list of the workshops that are coming up, and if there's only 2 or 3 that you want, you just enroll in the ones that you want, right? There's also the 12-month package. More people seem to be interested in this because you get the whole year's worth at a savings of 40%. It's like getting a bunch of them for free, right? So if you do the a la carte enroll them, again, if there's only a handful of the workshops that really apply to you, then just enroll in the ones that you want. Most of them are only $197. I think there's one that's $147. Most are $197. There are a handful that are $497, and they're $497 because they are way more in-depth. They basically last the whole day, and they come with a lot of extra resources, right? So the tax filing workshop, the one where we actually draft our contracts together, those last longer, they're much more in-depth, and so they cost a little bit more. On the other hand, if you want to do the 12-month package, you can save a lot of money, right? So I had people asking about, can they sign up for lots at once and save money? This is why I did the package. Because if you pay separately and sign up for all the next 12, it's about $3,200, but you can save 40% if you just want to get the subscription. So you can get access to the next 12 workshops for either one payment of $19.97 or 12 payments of $197. Right? It's about half and half. Some people prefer the full pay up front, other people prefer the pay as you go, and that's fine. Now you are committing to all 12 payments of $197, but it helps spread out the payments for you. So yeah, I did the 12-month package because I had people who wanted to register for a bunch, and it was just a huge money saver for people if I could, you know, give you a chance to get a year's worth at a huge discount, basically get a bunch of them for free. And then these are all recorded, right? I run the workshops live on the second Saturday. I know not everybody can make it to every workshop, so they're all recorded. So if you get the 12-month package, then you get all the recordings, all the ones coming up, all the materials for all of them, everything like that. So I do have a few extra minutes. I'm happy to stick around. You guys have any questions about any of the stuff we talked about today?
I do.
Tanya, yeah.
I don't know when or if this comes into play, but I'm nearing the end of a book that I'm writing that I intend to use for to branch out into a coaching business. Do I need some kind of legal something written in the book or some kind of intellectual property protection or something before the book is published?
Yeah, I mean, you probably want to copyright it if you're going to have a book that's published, even if it's just published on Kindle and whatnot. You want to copyright it before you publish it. Charmaine, yeah.
I had a question about, this is from your course that I forgot, Empower, sorry, I can't think of the name of anything today.
That's all right.
Anyway, it's about the safe harbor agreement. I'm in Texas and I'm a little confused about it. I've been searching, like you said, to look for, you know, the safe harbor things in your area and then, you know, where your clients are. But all I'm finding are like stuff for nurses and doctors. Am I supposed to model what they're doing as it applies to what I'm doing? Or is it just like a guideline?
That's a bit of a longer answer. So I would say if you
Okay.
can get to one of the next Q&A calls for the course, we'll get
Okay.
it, because a lot of the people doing the same thing with you are gonna have the same question.
Okay.
Yeah, and you should be getting an email. I'm right now, I'm working on scheduling out the next
Okay.
couple months worth of calls. Yeah.
Thank you.
I have another question about, I have two different businesses, and one business I'm just getting off the ground on. I'm teaching at home in my home studio, quilting, but I want to go online. Quilting involves working with sharp pens, scissors, and very sharp rotary cutters, where a lot of people have cut their fingers off and stuff. So what is it that I need? What is it called that I need so that people have a disclaimer that people know that these are instruments that can injure them if they don't use them properly?
Well, yeah, I mean, you always need a contract with your clients, and everybody's contract is going to be different depending on what it is, right? So that's exactly the sort of thing we work on the Create Your Contract workshop.
Okay.
That I'll have in October, because that's when we actually get together. We learn what to put in there. And we'll have a few minutes where you can go out and write something, get people's feedback on it.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a pretty safe, supportive environment. Like, everybody's pretty encouraging. A couple of you have been to the contract workshop. Yeah. Marianne?
Yeah, hi. Would these workshops apply to myself, because I live in Canada and some of the things might be a bit different?
Oh, great question. Yes, the stuff I teach is at a pretty general level.
Okay.
Right. So it's the kind of stuff that if you live in what we call a common law country, the United States, Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, most of the English speaking countries, I teach stuff at a fairly high level that's pretty applicable. There are always going to be local differences. Even within Canada, you're going to have local differences in different cities and provinces within the right. But I try to teach you the stuff that's pretty broadly applicable, you know, and then you can always get a local attorney to look things over, you know, if you need to at some point. But I have a lot of people from Canada and the UK taking the workshops, some Australians. I'd say the only one that is more US focused, sort of the tax filing workshop, we go through US forms, right? Because I don't do Canadian taxes. I was a US tax attorney. Although I've had a number of Canadians take that class too, just for the general tax knowledge and benefits. You know, I'm not going to tell people they can't take it if they feel they can get value out of it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Oh, Charmaine, you had something else. Sorry. Oops, I think you're still muted.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
You were saying you had some other offerings. Is there somewhere we can look to see where they are, like in addition to what you were talking about just now?
Yeah, I also do something. I mean, the other main thing I do right now is called laser legal coaching, where you get it's more individualized, it's a little bit more
Okay.
one-on-one, where you get unlimited 15-minute sessions for 6 months. Right. So I can shoot you an email on that if you're more interested in that. So if that's where you
Okay.
get more individual attention on your specific issues rather than in the group format. And that way it's sort of, as long as you give me 24 hours notice, you can get a 15-minute session as often as you like. We get together, I give you tasks to do, I review your previous homework, right? So again, it's for action takers, right?
Right.
And then of
Okay.
course, you know, I mean, my other main offering is some people just pay me by the hour to do everything for them, which again
Okay.
is, you know, I love doing, I enjoy the work and I'm glad to cash your checks, but I recognize that not everybody's in a position to do that, which is why I have the other
Yeah.
stuff. Mhm,
Right. Okay. Very good. Thank you.
mhm. Norma,
Yeah, can you send me that link to that too? You know,
Mhm.
for 50, yeah. Thanks. You did once, I don't know what I did with it.
I should make a note. Because I don't want to, here, let me make a note.
Okay.
Charmaine, Norma, does anyone else want that link? While we're at it,
Oh yeah, there's another person.
Cynthia, Peter, okay. All right, very good. Cynthia, do you have a question too? Yeah.
Yes, I do. I don't even know exactly what I want to ask. I'm similar to Tonya. I'm writing a book. It's a memoir, and it's about the sudden and unexpected loss of my husband. So it's about, you know, our life together, but also a little bit of pre-story just for context, and of course my life after he passed, because I want to move into coaching that. And so I'm just getting going, you know. I mean, not the book is coming along quite well, but so my question, so I'm not, you know, I don't feel quite ready for legal. I came to this so that I could get a general idea of what I'm looking at. So that seems like a good start, but I know that there will be things that I'll want to do that you showed tonight that I could get coaching and help on, and then the few things you know, because I have all kinds of questions about, you know, is it better for and that would be an individual thing, LLC or you know what, corporation.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's fine. And I mean, that's why some people do the laser legal if you have a lot of individualized questions to do. Sometimes these questions, you know, it's okay if you don't even know what to ask yet, right? Because you don't know what you don't know, and that's fine. You know, how much is there to know in the universe, and how much do we all know about it, right? It's full of things we don't know. That's okay, right?
yeah, really. Okay, I just want to thank you then for your time, and if there's, you know, other ones that, because I'm on your list, if there's other ones that speak to me like this one, I'll show up for sure.
No, definitely. I try to run a free webinar at least once a month, and then each of the monthly paid workshops get promoted on their own too. So you'll always see that stuff coming up.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Definitely.
great. Thank you.
My pleasure.
I'm gonna go. I'm on the East Coast.
Yeah, no problem. No
Yeah.
problem.
Good night, everyone.
You
Night.
bet. Good night. Well, great. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm very grateful for your time. Hope you guys got some value out of it. And I will see you
Yeah.
guys in the next one. Bye.
All right. Bye.